Every day, without even realizing it, we're influenced by a powerful force that shapes our actions and decisions. This force is known as operant conditioning. It's a fundamental concept in psychology that explains how consequences influence our behavior. At the forefront of this theory was B.F. Skinner, a renowned psychologist whose groundbreaking work revolutionized our understanding of behavior. Skinner wasn't just interested in what people do, he was fascinated by why they do it and how the environment influences their actions. Let's start by understanding the basics of this influential theory and how it applies to our everyday lives. Operant conditioning is a type of learning where behavior is controlled by consequences. In simpler terms, it's about learning from the outcomes of our actions. Whether a behavior is repeated or avoided depends largely on how it's rewarded or punished. While classical conditioning involves learning by association, think of Pavlov's dog salivating at the sound of the bell, operant conditioning is different. It's about learning from the consequences of our actions. In classical conditioning, the response is triggered automatically. In operant conditioning, the behavior is influenced by the reward or punishment that we know will follow. This concept hinges on two main elements: reinforcement, which increases the likelihood of a behavior, and punishments, which decreases it. Skinner showed that by systematically manipulating these outcomes, the frequency of a specific behavior could be increased or decreased. Understanding operant conditioning gives us powerful insights into why we do what we do and how our environment shapes our behavior in profound ways. So first, let's explore the key concepts of operant conditioning, reinforcement, and punishment. First, we have reinforcement. Reinforcement, simply put, is a consequence that increases the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. There are two types, positive and negative, but don't let the terms mislead you. They both strengthen a behavior. Positive reinforcement involves adding something desirable to increase a behavior. For example, giving a child praise or a treat for doing their homework. The reward, in this case, encourages the child to repeat this behavior in the future. Negative reinforcement, on the other hand, involves removing something undesirable to increase the behavior. It's like turning off a loud, annoying alarm by getting up on time. Here, the removal of the unpleasant stimulus, the alarm, reinforces getting up early. With reinforcement covered, let's turn our attention to the other side of operant conditioning: punishment. In operant conditioning, punishment is a process that decreases the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. It involves the introduction of an unfavorable outcome or the removal of a favorable outcome following a behavior. There are two types: positive punishment, where an unpleasant stimulus is added, like scolding a child for misbehaving, and negative punishment, where a desirable stimulus is removed, like taking away a toy following undesired actions. The effectiveness of punishment in altering behavior depends on factors like the immediacy and consistency of its application. However, excessive or inappropriate use of punishment can lead to negative effects, such as fear, anxiety, or aggression. Operant conditioning, both reinforcement and punishment, is best showcased in the Skinner box experiment. This simple setup involved placing an animal, like a rat, in a box equipped with a lever. When the rat presses the lever, it receives food as an reward, demonstrating positive reinforcement. Conversely, Skinner could introduce an unpleasant stimulus, like a mild electric shock, which the rat could stop by pressing the lever, showcasing negative reinforcement. This experiment was pivotal in illustrating operant conditioning in action, particularly how behaviors can be influenced and modified through reinforcement and punishment. Overall, the principles of operant conditioning extend far beyond the lab. They're at play in everyday life, from the classroom where the teachers use rewards to encourage participation, to parenting with positive reinforcement shaping children's behavior. Even animal trainers rely on these principles to teach and modify animal behaviors. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.